Hello, darling. I'm going to help you go through these problems. So, your question says a ship drops anchor in a harbor. The anchor is 49 feet above the surface of the water when it is released. So, you can think you're at 49 feet here when it is released. So, the vertical motion formula, H is equal to negative 16 t squared plus v t plus s, where s is your initial height, so that's our 49. V is your initial velocity in feet per second. That's actually going to be 0. And everything else is the same. Okay, so we have negative 16t squared plus 49. With some practice, you'll quickly begin to recognize that this is a difference of squares. So we can actually do h is equal to negative 1 times 16t squared minus 49. And then you will see that 16 is a perfect square and 49 is a perfect square. So we have h is equal to negative 1 times 4t minus 7 and 4t plus 7. And just in case you're not familiar with how to do that, let me just walk you through it very quickly. So for the difference of squares, you look at the perfect squares. So you have the formula a squared minus b squared is equal to a plus b times a minus b, or vice versa. Now, the trick kind of is being able to recognize, okay, what's a and what's b. So this term here, 16t squared, is your a term, a squared term. That means that 16t squared has to be 4t times 4t, which is 16t squared. The 49 is a little bit easier to recognize, so 7 times 7, 49. That's your b squared, which means that b is 7 and a is 4t. So this question asks you for what time will the object hit the ground. So they want to know what time will the object hit the ground, so when h is equal to 0. So if we plug h0 in for h, then we get it equal to, we can ignore this negative 1, we get h, or 0, is equal to 4t minus 7, and we get 0 is equal to 4t plus 7. And now we're just solving for t, so here we just add 7 to both sides, and then we divide by 4, and we are left with t is equal to 7/4 seconds. And this is just going to be the opposite, so minus 7, and then divide by 4. So we get t is equal to negative 7/4 seconds. Now you can't have a negative time, so our answer is going to be t is equal to 7/4 seconds. So that is your answer to part A. The second part asks you what is the height after 1 second, and your h corresponds to your time after t seconds. So in order to solve for that, we just plug in, we're going to use this, let me change colors here. Okay. So we're going to use, we're looking for height after t seconds. So let's take this formula here, and we are just going to plug in 1 for t. So I'm going to actually just erase. So if we plug in a 1 here, 1 squared gives us 1 times negative 16. So we get h is equal to negative 16 plus 49. We calculate that. So what it was at negative 16 plus 49 minus 16. We get 33. So h, your height after 1 second is 33 feet. Okay? So that is your answer, your two answers. So this is for B. So I'm marking them. So the answer to A is 7/4 seconds, and then your answer to B is your height is 33 feet.